you let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up.
Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life.
It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's ride!
It's a Monday. Hey, everybody. Hey. It's good to see you guys. It really is good to see you all again on this, the 24th of August, 2026. Hello to everybody in the chat room. I'm looking at the combined YouTube and Rumble and Twitch chat rooms. I also have Pilled Up over here, too. I see Wichita and Jeannie and Be Close to God, and let me see here. Bill Cooper, Misfit, Nikki, Agorizer. I see you all in there. Here's what I will say. We need to get a lot of activity in all the chat rooms in the first 15 minutes so the platforms know that this is being watched by humans who seem to be enjoying themselves. So make sure that you like this, make sure that you comment, and roll call. Let everybody know where you're from, where you're watching, and let's see how far the reach is tonight. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. Welcome back. And I saw Nikki actually just talk to Lorelei, the lava lamp over here, and I gotta say, there's something going on with this wax. This wax seems very tired. Look at this. That is supposed to be yellow wax. A yellowish wax, and the no, maybe it is red wax, and it's supposed to be orange fluid. It just seems too translucent. I think all of the color has been cooked out of it to the point where it's too translucent. And I don't know what I gotta do. I feel like I gotta freshen it up because you almost can't see the lava anymore. Anyway, those are little things I can take care of some other time. But how the hell's your weekend, everybody? Mine was pretty good. On Friday. Friday was a strange day because it was truly a day off. Until of course the nighttime when we had our film club. Which, guys, we watched The Terminator on Friday night. There's so many ways you can get in on this, even without paying too. Over there on Twitch, over on Pilled, people are giving away subscriptions all the time. Just claim one in the chat room, and suddenly your DMs are going to be filled up with all of the members-only stuff for as long as it's active, of course. And Terminator was awesome. And you know what we were talking about there, too, afterwards? We watched the whole movie. The chat room was hilarious. We had a great time. We weren't dogging the movie, but we were just having a great time. It's like you were in the room with friends, but we were in our respective porches and living rooms and all that other stuff. But afterwards, I made sure I paid very close attention when we were going through all the trivia, all the production notes of, the did you knows about the Terminator and stuff like that. And I paid very close attention to one thing, and that was Linda Hamilton and how we used to be given female protagonists. Female protagonists, strong female leads that had to earn their way like everybody else, no Mary Sue shit and all that stuff, and why we gravitated toward strong female leads like anybody else when the storytelling is good and when the character goes through a believable arc and there's adversity and all that shit, and you go from this vulnerable little, hunted girl who is now, kind of shacking up with a soldier of fortune from the future who's, coming from the 2020s, middle of a robot war, artificial intelligence, all that stuff. And then, with a little bit of some bruises, some bumps, it was just great. And Terminator 2 we'll be watching again. We'll be watching together on Friday, September 4th. So join the Culture Club. I'm telling you, the movies and the books alone are worth it, but there's so much more. Okay, but welcome, guys and dolls. I also want to thank you all for the prayers that you had sent over with my mother. Told you we were in the emergency room a couple of weeks ago, like 2 Mondays ago or something like that. And it was just like, burning in the leg, burning in the thigh. We're like, okay, great. Here comes another, bulging disc. She had the MRI on Thursday, or no, MRI on Friday. And wouldn't you know it? Our prayers are answered. It's not a disc. It was shingles. Yes, I know. It's just, so that sucks. It hurts. Yes, I know. But I'll tell you one thing. Between that and a bulging disc, my mom is very, very grateful that it's just some shingles on, over here. And, so she'll be dealing with that for a couple of weeks, but she got it super early because the pain came first. And that's it. So next time you see my mom at like a jamboree, say, hey, how's the shingles? Your shingles are okay? Say something like that to her. Okay? Well, I mean, listen, it's who, and I told her last night before everybody went to bed. I texted her, I said, love you, Mom. And I said, I got to say, I don't want you to have shingles, but I'm so happy it's shingles. She said, I know, me too. You want that, or you want a disc to be blown out? It's 2 to 4 weeks versus blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, she's dealing with it like a champ, so there's that. That's all we got to do. And I'll keep, before I start getting the emails, Lauren will not be sitting on my mother's lap or anything until this is all. I understand pregnant ladies and shingles and all that stuff. Don't worry about it. Everything's okay. But I think it's great news. And next time you see her at the jamboree, just say, everything's good with the shingles? I hope that she gets like 10 shingles questions next October. Okay, so there's that. What else did I have for you? We've got some great topics here tonight. It's Monday, so I like doing a weekend in review. I like pulling you guys in wherever I have the time. I don't know. I hope I have to have the time, because the question about GTA, Grand Theft Auto 6, that we've been waiting, 13, 15, 16 years for Grand Theft Auto 6. I still play 5 from time to time. I had that for, did that come out with PS3? I know I had it for PS4, and then the PS5 Online came out not too long ago, so that we can all get onto that. But anyway, there's been leaks. There's been a series of, now I think the 11 leaks, and I want to talk about this because for a little while it looked like there was a dead man switch thing going on over there. It is a big. I can't show you anything because the DMCA violations are flying like hotcakes right now, because whoever the hell this leaker is, we'll talk about it, because I know a lot of people out there wouldn't understand. You don't play the games. Many of you do, and you're waiting for this game. I'm definitely curious about that. GTA and the Halloween game, the John Carpenter's Halloween game that's coming out in September. We're getting those things because me and the guys are going to play that, and I'll stream it, so that'll be fun. Some things to look forward to as far as the fall and the winter. But I got a question about this for everybody when it comes to private property ownership, because part of this cyber leak deal that's going on right now, where all of this gameplay, like they have a playable game of what it is. I don't know what version of it is, but they are taking people through it. The gameplay demos for this game is going to be like over the next couple of days. I think it's going to be on Netflix, and then it's going to be released public like 6 hours later on the GTA YouTube. But right now, central to the leakers' reasoning for everything else is some ideas about private property ownership over these games and physical media being phased out in so that these big platforms and, of course, the companies themselves, they're essentially just authorizing people licenses to play games that are being held virtually. And again, that makes people say, well, damn, what do I actually really truly own in my life? Because even if you do buy a movie or something through Amazon and it's there on your Amazon account, still you ultimately don't have complete control over whether or not that account can be accessed, whether or not that account can be shut down for one reason or another, whether it can be hacked, things can be stolen. Like it's ownership of property is a huge thing. And I got a question for you guys in the chat room on YouTube. So even if you're watching on Rumble and elsewhere, get over to the YouTube real quick and just vote in that poll, because it's I'm curious to see how many people think or what percentage of the things in your life people believe they own, because I'll tell you, when I started really thinking about it, well, I'll tell you what I think later on, but still, I want to call your attention to that. It is phrased in this way. How much of what you pay for do you actually own anymore? Okay, we've got just about 110 votes in right now. We got to triple that. I want a sample size of 300 people before we talk about that later on, because so far, I'm surprised at how many people think that most of it is the answer. I mean, unless you don't have a lot, I don't know. And if you don't have a lot, I think you actually own less. If you don't have a lot of things, then you probably own less, because that just means, the services, the internet. I mean, who knows? We'll get into it all, but we're going to use the GTA leaks as a delivery agent for that. First thing up over here, we have some news out of California. Very, very heartwarming news. California Governor Gavin Newsom signed legislation Saturday expanding privacy protections for immigration service workers, despite warnings that the measure could chill investigative journalism and face First Amendment challenges. Assembly Bill 2624, dubbed the Stop Nick Shirley Act by Republican Assemblyman Carl DeMaio, expands California's Safe at Home program to certain nonprofit employees who assist people navigating the U.S. immigration system. Navigating it. That's a great way of putting it. The law will take effect on October 1st, after Newsom leaves office because of term limits. Democratic Assemblywoman Mia Bonta, who introduced the bill in February, said that the protections are necessary because immigration service providers face harassment and threats. No, there's been no harassment. There's been no harassment and threats. There has been good, embarrassing journalism. Embarrassing to the state. It's also embarrassing to the employee who has to answer the questions that they actually, A, don't know, or B, don't have a script to handle properly, where they kind of know something's not on the up and up, but they are compartmentalized and they don't actually have an understanding of the full network of nonsense that's going on over there and the billions of dollars that's passing through for adult daycare or, medical transportation or learning centers, whatever the hell it is, whatever the scam is, hospice, whatever the scam is. The fact that progressives' first instinct is to not take seriously very hard evidence of massive fraud, because of course you don't want these programs to go away under no circumstances. So why not indulge a little bit and say, well, let's clean this up because we want to make sure that people have faith in these institutions. Well, it's because it's a big slush fund, and it's because everybody is getting their palms greased, and this is how elections are run, and this is how everything else is being run, and it's taking way too long for the screws to be put to everybody. But the measure imposes penalties on people who distribute information or images of covered immigration workers under circumstances that the law. Okay, so then blur out their faces. I don't know. Blur out the faces. What are you going to do? What does that mean? Like, what's the? So I have to look into this a little bit more. But punishable by a fine up to $10,000 per violation, imprisonment of up to 1 year in county jail, or under penal code, 16 months, 2 years, 3 years, or both. That's crazy. So, I mean, that's it. Bad behavior. This is always the stance they take. Here's another little something changing gears because September is upon us, and here we have a 9/11 victim identified. First of its kind genetic genealogy technique. An adult female was formally identified using this technique recently, which prior to her identification, there were still 1,100 people. 1,100 people who were lost that have not been able to have been identified properly linked to one set of human remains or another. But after 25 years, another person is identified. And here's what it really comes down to, which, I mean, I'm sure that there's a little bit more detail out there and perhaps just a little bit more technical information behind what's going on. But as I was looking here, essentially they said that the remains that they have left over, I guess like a bone fragment or something like that, it has sufficient enough genetic information inside of it for them to go and make an inquiry across X amount of databases like, a 23andMe to find people who are a close enough genetic match to that person, that person who once claimed that bone as their own. And from there, you can then start building a prospective family tree. And from that family tree, you can then go and conduct interviews and reach out to people and ask some questions to ascertain whether or not they had lost somebody in 2001 and, by process of elimination, really come to the understanding of, boom, we found somebody. Now, it's a new technique. I mean, right there from how I found it described, I don't know. It actually sounds like it's pretty basic, and it's not like a new method was created for it. But still, one more family has closure, and now there are 1,099 people that still don't have any. But at this point, 25 years. Knocking on the door of September every year is always something that is very strange for me. I don't know how it is for you guys, but we'll talk about it once we crack that can open in a couple of weeks. But it is always the same feeling for me. Always the same feeling for me, and the weather dictates it as well, too. When we have sunny, crisp days, sunny, crisp, blue sky days in early September, especially on the 11th, it is like it's like a time travel for me, where I'm just feeling all different types of things. It's like it's very ghostly kind of stuff. I remember the whole day, and then I remember everything that happened afterwards. I'd like to just go through time and open it up with you guys, especially anybody around my age, around here too. I mean, we jumped right into prophecy. Like, we were going into Nostradamus and shit like that at first. And we knew that just 25 miles south of us, there was a horrific crime scene. And there was just all this craziness going on, the dead skies, nothing flying overhead. A lot of stuff comes back. And around this time of year, it starts really rushing back slowly but surely with the weather changing, because it is now very crisp at night. So we'll talk about that soon. But anyway, new technique. Okay. Now we have the Lindsay Clancy thing I wanted to bring back up again. There is, like, closing arguments are upon us, and jury deliberations. That's all that's left and stuff like that. But the sympathy phenomenon, which of course has actually consumed most of the media reporting on this, because it's a pretty cut and dried trial and situation here, with very, very few nuance about whether or not a person should be locked up forever in a mental institution, or if a person should go to a penitentiary. And of course, if it were in a saner state that took deterrence a little bit better, a little bit more seriously, then we'd be talking about capital punishment as well. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about a state in Massachusetts who just a couple of weeks ago had their twat governor flanked by a coven of crazed butcher witches, and all very emphatically clapping as they authorize the murder of children up to the due date. So none of this actually really shocks me. There is plenty of bipartisan overlap here, though, of sympathy, which also doesn't shock me because I think feminism is a problem that is, which is also rooted very, very deeply in witchcraft, is a problem that it expresses itself in both parties. If we're going to just talk from a duopoly system, two-party system, that kind of like a standard view. But there are a great many sane people out there. And I just want to play this. This is because the craziness on the internet continues, it's good to see sane voices come to the surface and debunk a lot of the lies. Here is one girl named Peyton on TikTok who used her channel to combat an onslaught of tens of thousands of videos from people who are just out of their minds. One of which you'll see after this one. But this is a 2-minute debunk that you should take a listen to.
I lied to you all and said that I wasn't going to make another
Hold
video.
on a second, my bad. Thanks, Jessica. I'll be back with you in a second. Hold on a second. Here we go.
I know I lied to you all and said that I wasn't going to make another video, but here are more facts that everyone's choosing to ignore. This whole she was a married single mom raising those kids herself. The 8-month-old baby was born. The 3- and 5-year-old were in daycare full time. Patrick took a 12-week paternity leave and they hired a nanny to help with the newborn baby. After the 12-week leave was over, Patrick could see that Lindsay needed more help and support, so he decided to move his office into home and started working from home, so they decided they didn't need the nanny anymore because Patrick was going to stay home. And you guys are saying that this woman had no support? That is false. A key factor that you guys are missing of this whole entire thing, and you're letting this woman play on your emotions, she was a labor and delivery nurse herself. She was in this career path. Lindsay knew, if I tell my doctors that I am hearing voices and having thoughts of harming my children, they're going to be taken away from me. She knew that, okay? She is smart, she's calculated, and this was premeditated. Any woman going through actual psychosis, especially with the career path she was in, being very educated on this, she would have gone to her doctors and said, these kids, I need them away from me because I think I'm going to kill them. She didn't do that. Why? Because she wanted the opportunity to kill her 3 kids. Now
she goes into the, how it's all done. And there's a couple other things there too. She goes into a few other big points that are just pervasive. And it's again, we're getting to the point now where people are going through Lindsay Clancy trial breakups, okay, which is a really fantastic thing for anybody to. I mean, obviously, if you're years into a relationship and this is how it all. I mean, that sucks that you lost that kind of time, but it is great. I mean, it'd be congratulations to any guy who gets this confirmation early enough. You get the hell out of there. Just stay the hell away from them. I don't know what the hell. For example, like take a listen to this. Listen to this.
Every one of us that have roots that go back to the Salem witch trials, we are freeing our ancestral bloodline by coming together for Lindsay Clancy.
Right.
That's why that shit is happening in Massachusetts. It's happening right near Salem. We are coming together and not letting our sister go down for a crime she didn't commit. And if somehow it was possible, which it's not, it is literally not possible. The timeline isn't possible to create hypothermia. Even if it was possible, we are still coming together in love and support for that woman. The rise of the matriarchy is here.
No, actually, it's the other end of the hill. It's the other end of the hill. The rise in the matriarchy. We are so fucked because again, you remember all that stuff. If women ruled the world, then we would have no wars and all that stuff. Meanwhile, here we are in the middle of this trial, talking about how, well, listen, after you give birth, the first thing, it's very normal for a woman to want to strangle all the children in the house, all the children she could find, with workout equipment, with exercise equipment. So what's it going to be? So what's it going to be? The matriarchy's on the rise. God forbid. No, this is the downside of the hill here. And people are going to have to start asking the question on how we can start restraining the matriarchy a little bit more. And also just from the standpoint of there is no inherent power in the matriarchy. None that men do not provide the infrastructure for to begin with, for all of this cosplaying to continue. But that's the bigger problem there too. That's the bigger problem we're going to have to talk about at some point. I don't know. It's going to be thrown right in our faces. By physical media, as one of so many people said, my brother whom gets married in 2 weeks sent the entire family and hers a group chat saying that he's calling off the wedding because his fiance said that she supported Lindsay Clancy on Friday. And I say good for this man. Good for this man and the children that he's going to save from absolute insanity, emotional abuse. God knows that it's just horrible. So listen, when somebody signals shit like this, just go ahead and take it. And friends, listen, I know this is going to be one of the harder things for people to hear. But I mean, you can argue that the system is designed to fail everyone. The system failed this person. The system failed that person. It fails everyone. Where we are all being meticulously managed in our perception is whose failures has more of a cushion, is dealt with more sensitively than others. Whose very predictable failures are going to be dealt with than others, are going to be less culpable for their actions. I said it last week, men and women are hurt across the board, but they're hurt differently. But both are being pushed into lives that are increasingly contrary and at odds with their nature. So, I mean, and you can look at what happened to support systems around, say, well, that's the whole support system around one mother or another. I say, the old support system around a mother used to be the grandmothers, the sisters, the cousins, the aunts, the mothers from the neighborhood, whatever the hell in the community. That's what the whole thing was. It was women used to have a much larger support base during their childbearing years because the women in their families weren't all simultaneously working full-time jobs. They were closer to home, closer to each other, and they had more children on average. So parents didn't have to be the primary playmates as well. That's just what it comes down to. And I understand people have to work now. At one time, there was a choice, though. And now that just proves the point. The system has become essential for survival. And we got to find a way to create a parallel system that is more in line with nature so that we can submit to that nature, not to be enslaved or anything like that. Submission is not slavery or anything else like that. It's like we have to, men and women have to submit to their nature. And I don't feel like we're doing that. And it's probably been the big reason why I have felt disconnect at some point or another, frustration when I should have felt like I was in a groove and all that other shit. There's just, I don't know. That's the function of the system. It's to break everybody. And that's where compassion is still needed. That's going on. It's supposed to break everybody because the system is supposed to take the place of family and community. It still wears the dead skin mask of family and community. Things that the system gives you, like, welfare checks and food stamps and whatever other kind of assistance that comes in the hollowed out form of what charity and community was. There is actually no good feeling there. There's just expectation at that point. It's the 6th of the month. Where's my check? It really trickles down to everything. But once again, we're just paying attention to how people are responding to this shit, and that is the more interesting thing. Then we come to the WNBA, which I said this weeks ago. I wish that they would just go full-on WWE already. Just go wrestling with this. Enes Kanter, who obviously was showing up to just, troll, I guess. We're talking about he was one of the guys, one of the former pro athletes that said, hey, I would like to join the WNBA. And like I said, he was doing so as one of the greatest acts of pro women. He was so pro woman in that respect. He goes to this game, Chicago against Indiana. He goes to this game and he's wearing a shirt that said woman, noun, adult, human, female. It's just a definition of what a woman is, because you would think that it would be the entire basis for the league's existence, but alas, the WNBA still has found a way to avoid actually defining womanhood. Complete political paralysis. Anyway, he shows up to this game, and I don't know, one of the alphas on the Chicago team calls him out and tries to get in his face.
6-point basketball game.
Hold on. Yeah.
Chicago staying in it. Natasha Cloud.
There he is.
And right before the break, this was the scene inside Wintrust Arena after Natasha Cloud got that bucket. She wanted her voice heard.
She wanted her voice heard. Now, if that were like an NBA or MLB or something like that, like a real situation here, they would have never. That's like a streaker running onto the field. They just would not have given it any time. But there is a storyline here. They're going to indulge in this because there's a storyline they need, because it's the only time that this shit has been in any way, shape, or form relevant. And I think that they should just go to the next level. I really do. First of all, when they go march over to Enes Kanter over there, they look like Aurora and her cousins, coming to confront me on like Memorial Day or something like that in the yard, and they all want to wrestle or something like that. And but other than that, like I said, I think the best thing for the WNBA that they can do is to grab this moment of relevancy and go full on professional wrestling with it. I think it'd be great. They should do the backstage call out videos where people are calling people out, and then, I don't know, an injured player gets followed to the ambulance by the television cameras, and it just so happens that like the opposition coach is posing as what was that? Was that the Undertaker and Vince McMahon? Who the hell was it? Was it? No, it was Steve Austin. When they're in the ambulance, who comes out as the ambulance driver and starts beating the shit out of them when they're in the gurney? And it's fantastic. Absolutely ridiculous. Still strapped in the gurney, ridiculous. Just lean into it. That's what I say. Anywho, what do you think? What do you guys think? Because I can't think anymore. All right. Now we have this. I'm going to go right into the Cyber Leak thing. This is from PC Gamer. I'll give you a little bit of a primer over here. So we got an anonymous internet lunatic. We're in an era now, long since we've been in this era, where one lunatic can hijack the rollout of one of the largest entertainment products in history. Okay? And I think like $2 billion or something like that has already been made off of the pre-sale of GTA 6, which is a $100 game. Who is CyberLeak? What we know about the GTA 6 leaker. Someone is posting Grand Theft Auto 6 footage under the name CyberLeak. They may not be anonymous for long. When you purchase... Okay, so here you go. On August 18th, an unidentified person or group going by the name CyberLeak began sharing what appears to be Grand Theft Auto 6 gameplay clips on the internet. The internet was naturally skeptical, but the footage was hard to fault. It looked authentic, showing mundane GTA 6 gameplay featuring its male protagonist, Jason, In one clip, the player shot a basketball outside the same house we've seen in the trailers, and in another, he did some typical GTA random civilian murdering. A day later, CyberLeak dropped 2 more videos, both of which looked legit. At the same time, the clips were being stricken from social media on copyright grounds, the only public response from Take-Two and Rockstar so far. They're being stricken all over the place. Now, the latest leak that came out today was of this almost like a nudist colony. What the hell is it called? Here it is right here. I'm not going to show it. It's not on here. They can't show anything. New GTA leak is filled with boobs and dicks. And I saw it. They keep reposting on Twitter. If you go to like Twitter and you type in like hashtag GTA leak or something like that, it'll populate everything that's being posted and reposted before it gets taken down. It's popping up like mushrooms right now. And it's like this guy, he's walking through a place. It looks like a nudist club or something like that, in like poolside, and it's just tons of people walking around just naked, all different types of body shapes. They were very, very diplomatic, very diverse. There's a lot of diversity here, man. A lot of diversity. The biggest asses. The smallest boobs. And, of course, guys are just walking around with their junk out. Guys. It's just crazy. So, and of course, at the end of it all, there's crazy. And so that's the latest one today. At first, they were talking about how there was a dead man switch that was attached to this guy's, playable version of the game. And if you guys don't know how the dead man switch works, it's just essentially that it's like a major form of putting protection on one thing that you think would be some good collateral insurance of one thing or another. And if you do not go and you put in a password every day before a certain amount of time, and the timer resets, everything is let loose. That's what everybody said that John McAfee had, that if you're arrested or if you're killed or something happens, then this thing is just going to be going out, and whoever you're at odds with is going to have something else to contend with. So that is the initial reporting over here, though. That has been retracted as fake. We saw that over here at ShaneTheGamer.com. So that was apparently fake, and the major gaming outlets actually got suckered by it and had to retract it. But CyberLeak does appear to have access to some kind of playable build of this game. He proved that he can manipulate the game in real time by literally shooting his name into a wall. And, with the bullets, like his Dick Tracy style, And later on today, that's where we got Nudist Town. That was a Nudist Town leak, and you can go check it out. A whole bunch of jiggly asses walking around. It's going to be great. It's going to be a fun time. And I wonder what that's going to mean about streaming it, though, on places like Twitch. Is that going to be okay? Because when I get together with the guys and drive around and cause problems, apparently the map is so big that it takes a half hour to drive from one end to the other. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a lot of exploring. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of Easter eggs there. They should make it a horror film. If they wanted to make this a horror game, then all they have to do is make it so that you have to actually buy gas, and it would be 2026 prices. If you had to actually gas up your car, that would be awful. That would be awful. Everybody getting into the GTA game to escape a little bit from all the money that they're paying outside in the real world, and they have to gas up their cars. Oh, man. Somebody's going to do it one day. You see. Anyway, so subpoenas. Now, here's the other thing. Now, we were talking about this in the Discord earlier on today, which, by the way, everybody, I'm putting it in the chat room right now. All the chat rooms, get into the Quite Frankly Discord. I'm putting it in the chat rooms right now. That is the best way to stay in touch with us during the day, to be able to get all types of alerts. We're talking about alerts and notifications that will supersede all of the online platforms and shit like that. I would say get on in there. when this Discord was shut down in 2022, when that went away and we went over to Gilded instead, we had about 7,000 users. So I want to be able to get more people in there, and we're going to be a little bit more up on that. But when we were talking about this in the Discord today, what really came to the front was this subpoena that was delivered to Discord, because it was in these very special, these designated gaming Discord servers. One of them had about 80 to 85,000 users in it. Not only was there a subpoena for the actual CyberLeak person, and they wanted all of the account numbers and all that stuff to be able to find out who the hell the person was, but it also seemed to be a blanket subpoena that would have roped a lot of people in that server into the fray, and just trying to figure out who the hell is doing this, because you're talking about billions of dollars at the center of all this stuff. Now, the takes are pretty cool, and they range from one end to the other. For example, we got one over here. This one, I took this one right off of the Chans. No, stop leaking our $2 billion project, please. CyberLeak, haha, watch Jason do funny hijinks. This is like 9/11 of AAA gaming, and I'm glad I got to be alive to witness it. Someone responded to that, not only for AAA gaming, but for mega tech corporations as well. Not being able to own your shit or not having a physical copy of your media is diabolical. And these assholes deserve every horrible thing that comes their way. I hope someone buys that leaked build of the GTA 6 for $100,000, assuming it's not a Jeet scam, and have them leak the entire fucking game. Okay, then they said F Rockstar, F Take-Two, and F Sony. And that's where I said, saying, okay, this is where it levels out for people. So you can call in on anything about this saga with the GTA thing, which it's crazy because there are still people dropping a lot of money on the betting markets, Poly Market and Kalshi and all that stuff. A lot of people betting that there's going to be at least a minimal delay, but another pushback of the release date in some way. Others are theorizing that Rockstar was behind the whole thing, which I don't see that being the case. I don't see that being the case, but I can't wait to learn a little bit more about this. Here's another one for you, and again, this is where you guys and gals come in, whether you play games like this or not. It's more so about property, because this was central to CyberLeak's, claims, among other things. Somebody else commented, if buying isn't owning, then leaking isn't stealing. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? I mean, I guess at that point you can say, well, it's not buying. If I'm going to play devil's advocate, you say, well, it's not buying. And the whole idea of making a transaction to own something physically so that you can play the campaign at home without internet access or anything like that, you could just play the campaign, do some free play, and have a good time without going into the online world or something like that. Man, online play is going to be a war zone. It's going to be a war zone. But if buying isn't owning, then leaking isn't stealing. Here's the thing. Buying is transformed. It's not that you're buying something and you're not able to own it anymore. We are still under the understanding that spending $60 to $100 on something is buying it, when really it's just turning into a subscription service. And perhaps it's just like a one-time fee, but that's just really what it is. I mean, you bought your way into having access to this thing, and how can you ever claim that you can own something without having it physically? There's no physical option. Then once again, everything is going subscription. Maybe in a mutated way. Here's a little bit more from people. Having gamed through the days of open demos, and this one I really got because I've played so many open demos before, getting in on betas and previews. They had preview CDs. Having game through the days of open demos and betas, the fact that this leaker is getting quasi-folk hero status for simply showing people what a $100 game looks like before they buy it is crazy. I hope Rockstar never catches them. I get it. Here's another one here too, because they came after everybody. Pedos with private islands and massive evidence. Nothing happens. Dude shit posting in GTA RP discords. 80,000 people get investigated. It's true. There you go. It's people. They usually are very, very sharp. Very sharp. I think a lot of people are exceptionally sharp out there. We got to find a way to introduce ourselves to them all, huh? I need to have them calling into the show with you guys who are also exceptionally sharp, and I hope I hear from you very soon. 914-200-0269. So that's the other thing there too. How far people are willing to cheer for a leaker that can he ruin everything? Can he ruin everything? I don't think so. Too much time has been put into it, but it's just a preview. And when it comes out, what does this guy get out of it? What does he get out of it? That's why some people think that the leaker could be an inside job and working on behalf of the company to create a lot of release year drama. Because even if these demos and these live playthroughs come out of a build out that this guy has access to, it's still coming out in November. Would CyberLeak be able to thwart the release from the game? I mean, does he think people are going to be buying from him instead? I don't know what the forward thinking is. I don't know what the hell the whole thing is, and that's why the chat poll is pretty big right there. Ownership is at the center of the GTA leak motive. So physical media is going to streaming. Remote access means that you can have access revoked or disrupted in many ways. But beyond that, I want you guys to think about that. Streaming, renting, whatever it is, you don't even own your labor because of how badly we're taxed. Property ownership. If you own your home, but you can lose your home if you fail to pay your property taxes over the course of a couple of months to a year or something like that, you don't actually own the home. You have the deed. There is no mortgage, but the home can be taken from you, and you would have little recourse because you didn't pay taxes. This is one of those things that we've been arguing about for a while. But I would say, and now I hope that you guys can call in on this, just from your perspective over the last 25 years, how much of what you have do you own? Because over the last 25 years or so, that is when we have seen ownership going mainly into renting, leasing, streaming. We're getting away from physical media. That is a huge portion of the things that we did own. You know, outside of our clothes, if you have a car, you don't have any payments there, that's fine. I'm not talking about, things like upkeep, like maintenance or something. I'm talking about outstanding obligations you have to an object, a service, a piece of media, whatever, that you have to pay to the person who actually owns it or the person who owns the debt. You know what I mean? Like if you got a car loan or something like that, you don't own the car yet. You don't own the car yet. Not technically, not completely at least. So I wanted to bring that up. And along the way, I'm going to also dip again, as people call in, we're going to dip into just exactly what your state sent to the 250-year time capsule for the United States of America. Some people said, I wanted to see what happened with my state. Well, you call in, you let me know, and we'll jump into that as well. Okay? So the line is open, 914-200-0269. Give me a buzz. You can talk about anything and anything that we have presented here tonight. And we'll get to that. And also, we're going to start off this week's Super Chat raffle. It's going to be $1, a quarter, 4 quarters worth of silver. We're going on with silver. And I'm also going to be giving away another bag of Keto Brains with the golden ticket. Boom, right there. And to start the secondary prize, we've got the alien plush, the plush alien. Sorry about all the crinkly to all you freaks out there. Here you go. I know many of you pay a handsome dollar to hear people crinkle paper while you get your rocks off, you freaks. All right, let's take a call, shall we? First one up is Hot Legs. How are you, Hot Legs?
I'm very good. Can you hear me, Frank?
I can. Now, do you remember everything you want to say, or are you freezing up again?
No, I'm out in the woods.
Oh, so, nice. Was that a wolf? Was that a coyote?
I don't really have good signal, but I have a question just in general. I'm curious to know how many people are able to pay ahead for their real estate taxes when they own their property, because I am not, and I find it to be a scary prospect that I might not ever see the bill.
What do you mean that you might not ever see the bill?
And lose. Well, I have a small piece of property up here in Michigan, and the bill comes in the mail. They have no way to automate it. It's not online or anything, and I have to send a check or deposit it at the bank in town. So what if I don't get the bill? It forgets to get sent to me. It goes to the wrong address. I lose my property. And this happens in a lot of little townships across the country. It's so manual, the process. You know, I can call a lady and talk to her for an hour about everything, but they have no way for me to say, I want to leave $500 in this bank account in the town, and when it's time to take taxes, take it. Or you can't do direct debits or anything like that for real estate taxes. And I think that's part of a scam. I just really do, because it's so easy to not get that envelope.
And there's no way to, you think that there's no feasible way to say, well, listen, I'm not receiving these bills here.
You have to remember that first, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I guess the big thing would be, do you set up forwarding? Like, I don't know if your little place in Michigan, is that, how often throughout the year are you living in Michigan?
I'm up here, maybe 10 times a year, but that's not really my point. The bill does come to my house.
Okay.
Somewhere else. My point is, like, what if you forget about it and it doesn't come? Or you just have if there's no way to automate these things, you're still antiquated in little towns. So I think it's just another way to not antiquate or to not to take your land.
I think so. I think there's a lot of things that people can trip over. I have to just hope that there is a little bit more of an appeals process to actually get to the bottom of delivery problems and all that stuff. But of course, like you said, if it doesn't show up, like Con Edison around here with our energy bills have been really bad lately. Usually we'll get them on time, and I feel like they are very spotty with the physical bills, and the electronic notifications are shoddy as well. There's been a couple of times over the last 10 months where I'll get a physical bill from Con Edison for the studio or something, and I'll notice that it's double the price, and I'll say, what the hell happened? And I realize that the last payment that was sent to them was 2 cycles prior. And I'm like, well, why the hell are we missing this? And there's no one to call up, to be honest, because everybody's going to AI now too with the customer service. It's nuts.
Well, I feel like senior citizens, when nobody's helping them and paying attention to their bills and stuff, just easy. It's just a scam. I've tried to figure out how to can I just send you a couple $100, every 6 months or something? And they're like, no, we're good. We'll call you if there's anything that comes up.
Yeah, fantastic. Well,
something to think about, how people deal with it when they forget what's going on.
Another thing you got to stay on top of. But thanks for the call.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Bye.
You too. Be well. Yeah, what the hell was it? It was the IRS. I had to call them about something else just to ask a question. And I had to go through 4 different options and think of a way to answer with different options each time to make sure that I can get to a human being, because everything was AI. Everything was automated. And then they just tell you, we're sorry. There's nobody that can take your call right now. Please call back later. I'm like, you are the IRS. You are the IRS. You better have some fat ass sitting there taking my phone call. You better have some, I don't care. You just have some fat ogre. Give somebody a damn, for as long as your satanic organization, your agency exists, you better have some fat piece of shit sitting there taking my fucking phone call and everybody else. We're sorry. You're sorry? You're sorry? We're being bent over so that you can even just keep the lights on over there. It's crazy. It's crazy. There's no more customer service. That's the other thing that's getting people all messed up. There's no more customer service. So not only are you don't own anything and everything is a subscription service, because they're also trying to cut corners. They're cutting corners. That's what CDs are all about there too. If they don't have to print and package and distribute X million of CDs for whatever, and these consoles themselves actually have less and less use for physical media to actually be inserted into them, then that's a cost that's gone. And then what? And then they're making money hand over fist. Hand over fist. And then when you have a problem with your account, you can't talk to a human being, because that's another thing they cut corners with. And they brought on all the AI chat models to be able to talk to you, and you never get what you want ever. It's awful. It's really bad. That's a part of it. That's a part of it. So you own less and you have less ways of actually troubleshooting when problems happen. Just something else, man. 914-200-0269. Let's see here. Rodney Journal over there on Prime. Twitch just resubscribed for 8 months. Thank you, Rodney. You are in for the raffle at the end of the week. Road Trip says this may be why they're sacrificing Andrew Wilson due to his effectiveness versus feminism. All that work he did is useless now. It sucks. What's useless? Oh, you mean the whole Candace Owens thing? Well, like I said, that whole thing boiled down to tribalism. That's all. Everybody's tribe thinks they got what they had. I'm subscribed to the Crucible. I'm subscribed to Candace Owens, I think, just because over the course of years, I got to go through my subscriptions and just see how much can actually be whittled down a little bit. But I'm subscribed to the Crucible and Candace Owens just on YouTube. So whenever they're live, they're on the front page, and viewership has never been better. So I don't know who was sacrificed, but still. Shake and Bake says, regarding private property, if anybody else has a superior interest in what you possess, such as your mind, your body, your children, your opinion, then you are not free. The only way you are free is if you have ownership and autonomy over your property. It's as easy as it can be stated. I got nothing to add to that. Thank you, Matt. Let's take a call. 860. Go ahead. Who's this?
Hey, this is Chris Parks. I'm calling from Orlando.
Hey, what's going on, Chris?
Hey, so I saw that you were talking about the GTA situation that was going on, and your question was basically what the guy was getting out of it.
Yeah, what do you think?
I'm not sure if you covered this part, but he put up his token where people are buying into it and buying and selling the token, and he's also charging people $120K for clips that he can send to them. And some clips are sexual and stuff like that. So I think that's really what it is about him just making money off of it in this meantime before the game comes out.
See, and that's the other okay, now you that I did not know about the sexual stuff, but I totally forgot about the other thing here, and that is the coin. What is it called? Coup coin or something like that?
Yeah, I can't remember the exact name of the coin at the moment.
But it's crazy because one of those things where what had popped up is that, where the hell was it? I had it in here somewhere. that this was one of those cryptos where you actually need to have identity verification for having this particular wallet or something like that. So he actually may have set up something that is actually going to lead to his arrest faster than people think. At least that's what's being reported on.
Oh, so I haven't heard that. There was some rumors going on about him putting like a switch where if Rockstar sends someone out to get him arrested, that the entire game would leak. But then that was seen as like that wasn't actually from him. But I've been following it relatively closely, been watching all the clips because I've been waiting for this game to come out since forever. But I just wanted to add that piece in.
Here it is for you, Chris. So the KuCoin angle, I'm grabbing this from Reddit and all that stuff. It's one of those things that people are saying that this could be like one of those self-owns in this whole thing. Okay. He says the GTA Forums researcher, this is from Reddit, researcher using the name ViceSit, followed the public blockchain transactions associated with CyberLeak operation. The analysis claims the wallets used to fund the token, website infrastructure, and uploads can ultimately be traced backwards through several intermediary wallets to KuCoin, a centralized cryptocurrency exchange. So that matters because unlike moving crypto solely through anonymous or self-custody wallets or something like that, KuCoin would require identity verification for new users and has procedures that we're seeing right here that are responding to valid law enforcement requests. So if the tracing is correct, an investigator could possibly send that back. And again,
oh wow,
yeah, I don't know. It seems like a whole. I mean, you get a lot of people's attention. Perhaps you made a little bit of money along the way. But damn, if it really is that shallow and that short-sighted, you could be spending a lot of time behind bars while everybody else is just ultimately going to be playing this game for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and one more thing. So it's also suspected that it's not just one person, that CyberLeak isn't one person. It's a team of hackers.
It's got to be.
That's all. Yeah.
It's got to be.
So I don't know. We'll see how it turns out, but there's a little bit of entertainment for us people who have no risk in the game, and we get to see the game early.
Hey, thank you for the call. Is this your first time calling in?
Yeah, first time been listening to you since 2018. This is the first time I ever got through.
Wow. Well, thanks for calling in, man, and all the best to you guys down there in Orlando. I hope I get to go down there again soon. I got to cook something up, maybe next summer.
All right, brother. Well, thank you for the time.
You got it. Take care. All right. Team of hackers. Let me see. Hold on a second. And I just want to see. I just wanted to check in on that theory in particular. And I'm going to get into the chat room poll because what you guys say is going to expand this outside of everything else that we're doing here. So let me see here. This is from Polygon. GTA leaks, this is from 6 hours ago, take dire turn as hackers urge fans. Of course. GTA leaks take dire turn as hackers urge fans to harass Rockstar IRL. Nearly a week into unprecedented. Okay, well, I'm going to have to read that some other time. Let me get to another call. 484, you're on the air. Go ahead.
What's up, Frank? It's JK.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, so the caller before me touched on the cryptocurrency thing.
Yeah.
It definitely makes me raise my eyebrows because he claims like his whole doctrine is to, it's not a cash grab and he's just waging war against anti-consumer gaming practices and stuff. But then he goes and takes it further and he's offering advertising inside future leaked GTA 6 videos. So, to contact him, you have to pay $165,000 in Monero or whatever it is. And that doesn't even count as advertising or doesn't even include the advertising. I mean,
let me see.
I don't know. It's weird. Yeah, apparently he said that you could advertise in there if you want.
Let me see. Could you be
Future
charged?
leaks.
I'm just going to ask Google this. Could you be charged criminally for buying advertising to be inserted into the next GTA leak video? All right, let me see here.
That would suck.
It's one of those things where it's only a public act. It's not like you can do that. You're buying advertising so that people can see that you've done it, and that potentially, yes, this is what like Gemini is popping up. And I would stay far away from buying one of those ads. It would depend heavily on what the buyer knew and what exactly they paid CyberLeak to do. This isn't a hypothetical anymore. CyberLeak is reportedly offering paid advertisers. This is from PC Gamer. It's crediting PC Gamer Online. You're saying that it's like you said, AK. They're offering paid advertising inside of future GTA 6 leak videos, and with a roughly $165,000 Monero payment just to initiate contact about an ad deal. So that's just $165,000 to talk. That's not even the actual
deal. That's not even including that. Yeah, no.
How the hell?
Who knows how much he's going to charge for that?
If they get away, AK, what do you think? What do you think the chances are that they get away with something like this? Because this could be almost like a modern day DB Cooper kind of a thing.
I know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think it's kind of slim because I was watching something. I forget what I was watching. It was like around this, but they were investigating somebody from years ago who was doing the leaks, and they figured out who they were. That's how, because of their, even though they use like Linux and, all the stuff that, the privacy people use to protect their identity, their computer had some, like, I forget what it's called, like an MSID code, or it's like the code that your computer has. It's just for your computer. And somehow they're able to trace it all the way back to him. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I want him to get away with it, because that would just be funny and epic at the same time. But I don't think that he or they will get away with it.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing that is like the issue is that they have a PC build of it. So I know the whole Dead Man Switch was like, like a rumor, but I think the issue and why Rockstar and Take-Two are panicking so much is because I think they might be worried, like, if this guy is for real, and he does have like a build, he could like release it on computers, because they weren't going to release a PC for this game. It's only for Xbox and PlayStation.
They're not going to get. Wait, that's bullshit. There's
no computer. There's no computer build release for it.
So that's crazy that they would exclude PC gamers. Number one,
I know.
But number two, are you sure that that's not just like right now? Okay, well, anyway, you know what? You know who I'm going to call real quick? Thank you for the call, AK. I'm going to call up Jim Lee, and I'm going to ask him a question about this. If you had a question for Jim Lee, what would you ask him?
Oh gosh, what he thinks the chances are of them finding him?
Oh yeah, well that's essentially what I was going to ask. I wanted to talk about money.
Ask him about like what the thing is that traces your computer back. What that's called? Like how they were able to find that other person.
Okay.
I forget what it's called. Okay.
All right. I'll talk to you in a bit. Oh, sorry, AK. I cut you off. Let me see. What number here? This is going to make... No, can't do that to Jim. Hold on. 1 second. All right, let me call Jim Lee.
Frankie, baby, love you, mean it.
Hey, Jim Lee, what's up?
Not too much, chilling like a villain. What you doing?
All right, I'm just on the air. I just wanted to give you a call because I had a question.
What's up?
Well, we're all talking, me and the audience over here, we're talking about this this GTA leak and how it's progressing right now, and especially right now with all of the money. Obviously, there is a property ownership aspect of this. The fact that, there's no physical media and people are kind of revolting about how everything is streamed and we don't have a game anymore and all that shit. And apparently there's no PC version of this that's going to be released. So it's all console right now. But right now,
blasphemy.
Yeah, I know. But here's what we have. There is a $165,000 Monero payment that's being asked, put out there as a billboard by this guy or this group, CyberLeak. That's a $165,000 just to initiate contact about ad deals to be placed to take advertisers and place it on future leaks. I'm just wondering, with the kind of money that they're trying to make right now in the months leading up to the November release and all that stuff, how possible is it that they're able to make money, not get caught, and then just disappear into the night and never have anybody come knocking on their door?
Well, this is not new, obviously. Shadow Broker was able to basically put out a whole bunch of, NSA leaks, actual, they had proof that these were real. They were asking like $1 million worth of Bitcoin or something like that. It kept getting higher and higher, and eventually, they just disappeared. And they actually released a bunch of it open source and never got paid. But more importantly, they never got caught. So anybody wants to just Google it, Shadow Broker, and you'll see that this is, one of the scariest hackers in the world, did it on the NSA and never got caught. So the likelihood that, Rockstar Games and its infinite wisdom is going to be able to catch somebody behind this is probably slim to none, unless they're just, some scrib kiddies who got lucky and, but hey, I don't know their level of, ability. But increasingly it's getting harder and harder, to hide who you are, even behind VPNs. The first thought that comes to mind when you mention this whole thing is you will own nothing and be happier for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you and I are old enough to remember, being able to go buy a Blu-ray or buy a VHS tape, and you held on to that shit. And even though there was nothing else going on, you're like, I've watched this 5 times. Hell, we're going to watch it again because I own it. And, owning physical games that, you could then pirate and go make copies for your friends. That's kind of what pushed this whole, what they call software as a service. It's called SaaS, SaaS. I think that the revolt, is a long time coming, and that people should push back on this. But for a little bit of context and history, have you ever heard of GeoHot?
No.
So GeoHot was known as the Sony PlayStation hacker. And what he did was he found a way to, and he open sourced this method for you to be able to install Linux on your own PlayStation console. So not only could you play video games and get on the PlayStation network and play multiplayer, but you could actually turn your PlayStation into a working computer and type up Word docs or, browse the web without having to pay Sony shit, because I bought it. It's mine. Well, anyway, they took him to court, and they basically, they wanted to sue him into oblivion over the idea that, no, even though you bought your PlayStation, you don't own it because the software inside of it's proprietary. Long story short, hackers from the group Anonymous took offense to Sony picking on GeoHot for open sourcing something that was actually useful, and did not like this idea of not just software as a service, but shit you don't even own the box you paid for. So what they do, they attacked the Sony PlayStation Network and took it down multiple times for months on end.
What year was this?
I don't know. You'd have to Google it real quick. I'm sitting on my back porch with my phone in my pocket, and you literally told me 5 minutes ago you're calling. But it's just look up GeoHot Anonymous PlayStation Network hack. You'll see it. And I wish you would have told me you were going to do this, because I would have sent you the clip and you could play it. He actually did a rap song, and it's still on YouTube to this day. He's like, "Hey, I'm getting sued by Sony," and he starts freestyle rapping. It's internet classic.
It's 2010 to 2011. George GeoHot cracked and jailbroke PlayStation 3 and publicly released information tools that allowed people to bypass Sony's security. Sony sued him on January 2011.
Yep. And like I said, that was when I was still in Anonymous. I left Anonymous in 2012 because shit started getting weird. But the fact is that their actions ended up leading to, I'm throwing around, I don't know why in my mind, it's like $13 billion worth of damage that was done by random hackers that were pissed off because they wanted to sue over this. So in the end, it ended up costing them way more money and so much damage to their network. And I foresee more of that. I mean, we're now in an age where, any dude can go jailbreak any AI and run agentic software on phone farms where they literally have, 1,000, iPhones all connected together, which can, all do multiple hack attempts from, different devices, and they're all unique. This whole agentic AI, like, the amount of hacks that are coming out now, if you can get into Fable 5, or if you can get access to Mythos, and then you can launch multiple cyber attacks with, just insane amounts of that shit. I've got 5 gigabyte per second up and down in my house. Imagine what you can do to these networks today. The AI is hacking all the things. And, I predicted this on your show back when we were talking about Anonymous, like 3-5 years ago. And that day happened, what was it, maybe 6 months ago, when they released Mythos, and basically the federal government said, no, you have to take it down. So the scary thing that's going on right now is apparently the Trump administration's written some kind of executive order where there's like a licensing kind of like, we're the gatekeeper of AI. And if we deem it dangerous, you have to take it down. Well, guess what? Guess who's not doing that? China. China's literally already got robots they got a robot fighting league.
I saw that.
And it isn't a freaking coincidence. It's not like they're doing this for entertainment. They are real-time training robots in advanced martial arts to stress test the hell out of their robots and their AI. Dude, it's starting to look like Terminator more and more every single day. But yeah, I mean, when I take it back to the original prompt, man, guys like CyberLeak, that's just going to increase. The people who are designing these games.
Well, wait. Let me ask you this then. From a practical, if you're over there at Rockstar, what are you thinking about how do you really how do you go about knowing for sure that this was not some kind of an inside job from somebody that had left recently, or is still there and is really just like playing mole, like Slugworth from the Chocolate Factory or something like that? Because how the hell does a playable build out a full version of this game get out? I don't even know how that can be taken out of Rockstar. Certainly not remotely. Is that even possible?
I mean, it all depends on the stupidity of the people designing the game. They have these things like GitHub repos, which are private. If they're using like some kind of shared repo, there have been multiple times just recently where people have done prompt injection on AI and got back private API keys. If you can get those private API keys, then you can access the repository the same way that anybody who in the company that's working on it can, with the same permissions as, you know, anybody in the actual organization. Anybody who's listening, you can fact check me on this. Look up AI prompt injection returns private API keys. And there was a proof of concept paper that just came out a month ago on this, which kind of shook everybody up. But there are hundreds of ways this could have happened. I mean, yeah, it could have been the good old Edward Snowden. I downloaded everything to a USB flash drive and walked out the door. But if that were the case, the guy would already be in cuffs, more than likely. I find it highly unlikely that it was an internal leaker, because they've got strict and real stringent controls on who can access what and how much of the entire build, and you got to go up the food chain to be able to access the playable full demo. Because the texture map guys are over here working on painting the model, and they're only painting parts at a time. The other guys are doing character animation. Studios are really compartmentalized, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. So I mean, if you were, let's say you were actually, I'm talking to CyberLeak right now. It's you. Let's say you, Jim Lee, are CyberLeak. You have already, with everything you've already done, do you think that you, with what you know how to do, you'd be able to get away from this, make a couple of dollars, and literally disappear?
Yes.
Okay. And that's
short answer, yes.
And that's why I have you do my IT over here. This is why Jim does all of the studio IT and cybersecurity. That's why he's the man.
Yeah, and speaking of that, we still got to do one more round because I never quite finished up that audio problem you have. But we got her stable. Apparently she's working. Otherwise, you'd have been crying, bitching, and moaning on my text line. But we still got to finalize one thing there. And I got down to the culprit of it, and of course it's wind blows. I highly doubt that this was like hacker related. But it's just about how your system actually attaches and assigns your roadcaster and when it does it. Because when I rebooted your PC twice, it remained, all of the fixes remained intact. But when you actually shut your computer down, warning to everybody listening to Windows that uses Windows right now, you're not going to like what I'm about to say. When you shut your computer down, it actually doesn't shut all the way down unless you turn fast boot off. So because I haven't disabled fast boot on your PC, it's actually going to a hibernation, and it writes this hiberfile.sys that stores the temporary state of the computer. So that when you boot that computer back up, your audio devices aren't initialized from scratch as it would in a restart. That's why when you turned it on Monday morning, everything went back and you had the problem again.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, it was actually those 3 episodes that I had without the native audio. It wasn't too bad. I just kind of came in with some, I couldn't play the intros or the outros, but I was able to play some music off of YouTube, and we did our thing, and you always get to the bottom of it, Jim. So I'm glad I asked. I called you up for a little bit on this, and I may need some updates along the way because this is gripping a lot of people, and I can't wait to see if there's going to be an arrest made, or if this guy is really going to disappear into the wilderness. If he was you, he would have already.
If he's using Linux and he is properly, basically using a combination of SSH, VPSs, and VPNs, he will not be caught. So that's secure socket shell, virtual private servers with VPNs connected to them.
But that's one thing if it's just about the disseminating of information standpoint. There is an economic ongoing, like he's arranging. I mean, there is a price to be paid to even initiate contact about buying advertising on future leaks. So there is cryptocurrency, aspects to all this stuff. There is the transaction aspect. So there's a little bit more than just releasing information. He's going to be, at least through, I know there's going to be buffers, but I mean, how much more complicated and compromised do you get once you start trying to make a little bit of money off of what you have going for you for the next couple of months? Because obviously when the thing comes out in November, nobody's going to care about leaks.
That's true, but that also probably means that he's already started working on his next league.
Gotcha.
You wouldn't be advertising if you didn't already have a work in progress, or at least have gained access, and now all you need to do is snatch the thing. If he were on Windows and he did all of the things I just described, he would still get caught, because every Windows PC has something called GDID, Golf Delta India Delta. And when you look that up, it goes back to what I've been telling you for years. Whether it's your MAC address or this global identifier that's unique to the hardware of your PC. The FBI had an arrest, and basically it came down to Microsoft snitched the guy out because they were able to identify him by his GDID. That is not true of certain Linux repos. It is certainly the same case with Apple. Just never been put out in the wild that's the case. But the Communications Assistance for Law Enforcement Act, CALIA, which was signed back in 1994, has been the root of making sure that every single thing is not secure.
It's crazy.
Because your privacy is not more important than their ability to catch people doing illegal shit.
You just said something. I have a article over here from the Register that actually AK dropped into the Discord, and you just said something. Windows GDID. Here's the headline.
Yep.
The headline is, this is from July of this year. Windows is watching. Anti-piracy tool fingers scattered spider suspect. Along with other telemetry, Windows GDID makes online activity more traceable. Your Windows is watching you. The U.S. Justice Department complaint against Peter Stokes for alleged involvement in the Scattered Spider hacking group offers a reminder that it's difficult to hide online activity from Microsoft's operating system or any other.
And you cannot remove it. You can with great effort, but that's a story for another time.
So GDID is something that you cannot remove. That's it. It doesn't matter at that point. I mean, VPN be damned. It doesn't matter.
Right. It'll finger you right through the VPN. So there's a whole lot of people doing a whole lot of illicit stuff or viewing stuff that they think that, well, I'm covered because I got ExpressVPN. There's layers to the shit player tiramisu, and you're on the bottom rung.
They finger you, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that, that might be a good thing. You might, if that's your thing, but, for you, it's donkey porn. For me, it's, these toes. Like, I need to get them on onlyfeet.com. Still waiting on that response there, Frankie boy. But for anybody who wants to learn more about the New World Order and the surveillance state, go to climateviewer.com/privacy and realize that the 14 eyes of the New World Order are always watching you. And all their corporate crony Silicon Mafia companies are doing their bidding. Anthropic and ChatGPT are no exception to that.
There you go, everybody. Climateviewer.com. Go and thank you for literally the last minute invitation. I like this little audio call. This was nice. Just got to chat a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, you caught me at the right time. I was just pre-dinner sitting on my back porch. Love you, mean it, brother.
All right, man. Have a great one.
All right. Later,
dude. Take care. He always knows what to say to absolutely turn my stomach. So that's according to Microsoft representatives. Yeah, so this guy obviously is not using Microsoft or Apple products. We'll see. This could be one of those 2026. You remember that? I mean, how can you not remember it? There's a GTA game that comes out once every 15 years. But let's just go to the phone lines for a little bit more as we end here. You can call in through Discord as well. I dropped the Discord link into the several chat rooms, just for a little bit, and because I want more people to join. It'd be a lot easier to stay in touch with you all, and there's always constant conversation going over there. We have great moderators, and it's good. Not only that, but you know what I heard? And I'll tell you more when this all comes to a head, but I heard that people like Rev in that chat room and AK and I think Rosie, a couple of people, they have now set up shop in the QFTV submissions chat in the stacks over there on the Discord. And in that QFTV submissions, that is where everybody can submit documentaries, videos, funny stuff, music, whatever the hell it is, for occasional, Quite Frankly TV after hours programming. Remember we used to have the after hours programming every night? Well, on select nights between Mondays and Thursdays, there's going to be some experiments that go on where after the flip side, it goes live and the entire after hours is 100% produced and engineered by members of this audience. So if you want to get in on that with submissions and just talk it out and, just be friends with everybody over there on Discord, I think that is a really cool thing to just kind of see. It's an audience produced segment and it's also an audience engineered segment. And I'll throw some things into the mix there too. And I think that'll be nice because it'll be for you guys, by you guys. And please go and make friends. Go and make friends over there on the Discord, which will all be after hours. Okay, into the super chats we go. The lines are open. 914-200-0269. Here is the super chats. Oh wait, first the poll, and we got about 300 votes already there. But still, listen to this, how it all shakes out. My question was, how much of what you pay for do you actually own anymore? 8% says, I've never thought about it. 23% says almost nothing. How much do you own? Almost nothing. 30% says less than I used to, which I think that everybody probably can say at least that. Now, 39% says most of it. And I don't know how to take that. Because most of it perhaps we have 39% of people out there who are very, very savvy and they just own a lot of stuff. But I'll tell you, what we're talking about here and why people, Jim was talking about everybody revolting about there not being any physical media left, is that I would say, when you think about how much, we've simply undergone, it's not so much about saying that these days, are you poorer or richer than you were in 2001? There has been a huge transition that we have undergone where a lot of the things that we used to own, that owners have now been turned into users. They've been turned into subscribers. They've been turned into licensees. They've been turned into borrowers. They've been turned into renters. This is a huge transition that, of course, is not only just following the flow of where technology is going in a little bit more of a consumer sense, but there is also a very pronounced global agenda. The Fourth Industrial Revolution, Klaus Schwab, and and all of them over there. They talk very openly about, as Jim said, owning nothing and being happy about it. turning people into a nation of renters, talking about the whole idea of being able to have a home and a family and a white picket fence is a time from an idealistic age that perhaps we were never should have ever had, and that we were very privileged, and we need to take a step back from that standard that we set for ourselves, which is nonsense, and it's all abuse. But that is a very real thing. It's a transition that's going on that is not just a matter of technological advancement and obsolescence. It's part of their white papers, those who try to really twist the arm of the world and modify human behavior into one direction or another. And to one degree, GTA, Sony, if you play video games or whatever, that could be like your red pill moment that expands out to everything else. This is not the be all end all, but that could be your red pill moment. If this was the only thing you used to own, you can own. Everything else is being rented or whatever the hell else. Streaming, leasing, renting, property taxes, we were talking about that. If you own your home outright, where in this world, maybe there is a place. Is there a place somewhere that in this country where you're not paying property taxes? If so, let us know where it is. We own our clothes outright. I hope so. But you can't even say that we own our labor. Big portions of our labor are spoken for, taken away, just taken for things that we don't even get back. So I haven't made a calculation about what that reduces my ownership of things down to. But I don't think it's 50%. I don't think it's 50%. I think about all the things we do. I mean, I have I'm financing a car. I own one outright prior to the other one starting to take a nosedive, and which is what got me into trading it in for this one I have right now. I had no car payments, which was great. You still have to insure them, though. There's that. Travel is pretty interesting, but that's just all cost of being out there. You can't say, oh, I don't own my car. I don't own my car really, if you think about it, because I still have to put gas in it. No, that's just maintenance. That's just basic stuff. But what do you think it is? I would guess that the average modern American truly owns maybe 25 to 35% of the infrastructure of everyday life. I'm talking unconditional possession without ongoing obligations. That's what I'm talking about. Not counting maintenance. And when you call in the 19 minutes or so that we have left, let me know how much more you think you owned back 25 years ago, because there has to be. There's a huge, we all went through this stuff. It's not that you don't, if you see this stuff coming, you can work toward ownership. But then there are other things that you never had a chance, like home ownership and the taxes. That is just something that it's a sunk cost and whatever. And hopefully that you never have to contend with that. But yeah, let me see here. 38% says most of it. 30% says less than I used to. 23% says almost nothing. And 9% says I never thought about it. Well, give me a buzz. 914-200-0269. 815 Dean, how are you?
Hey, what's up, Frankie? I'm sorry. I just let you know. I know the rules, but I'm on Bluetooth because I'm driving.
You sound good.
Me and Levi are on our way home from the farm. Well, it usually does. But hey, just real quick, buddy, you were talking about taxes and how much do you own, and I had an old wise friend tell me one time years ago, you want to know how much you own? The government will let you know when you quit paying your taxes. So,
yep.
Yeah, kind of made sense.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's true. I pay my house off, and now I got to still keep paying for it, otherwise I get kicked out. It's bullshit.
It is bullshit. Yeah.
It is. 100%.
Well,
Levi, say hi to Frank.
Hi, Frank.
Yo, what's up, Levi? How you doing?
Good.
Where are you guys going?
We're going back home from the farm.
From the farm? Oh, how are all the cows doing?
They're doing good.
Good. Even that little one that had a fever a few weeks ago?
Yeah, she's doing good.
She's doing good. Okay, good. So is that a cow you're going to get milk from one day?
No, we don't milk them.
Yeah, we don't do dairy, Frank. We do beef.
Oh,
They're different. They're different.
I get
They're
you.
raised. If you look at you can Google it. Look at a dairy cow next to a beef. It's obvious how they're built differently because
Gotcha.
it's how you feed them. But there's only a few breeds of dairy. Actually, the breed that we raise is the only breed that you can do dairy or beef with. We raise shorthorns.
Very
So
interesting.
they're shorthorn dairy and shorthorn beef.
Well, we love the updates over here. Aurora loves all the videos of the cows, so keep them coming. All right, guys.
Yeah, absolutely, Frankie. I actually got some stuff. I'll send you here when I get to it. But yeah, have a good night, man.
Have a good one.
Thanks for taking my call. Appreciate you, buddy.
Take care, fellas.
Shout out to the Pill Chat.
There you go. Pilled. There's Deansy over there. Let's take a call. 817. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Yo, Frank. This is Cloud9.
Cloud9. I should know 817 by now. Go ahead.
Oh, you're good, man. Yeah, no, this whole entire thing of like, what do you actually own just reminds me of when George Carlin went back on Bill Maher back in 2000. Like the exact quote, I think, is the things that matter in this country have been reduced in choice. There are 2 political parties. There are a handful of insurance companies. There are 6 or 7 information centers. But if you want a bagel, there are 23 flavors because you have the illusion of choice. So, keeping with this idea of like how much you actually own, you don't own a whole lot when it comes down to it. I mean, like you said, but that might be just the progression of technology because it's consistent with reducing, just the overall malaise of life. It makes everything convenient. But as we know, convenience isn't always necessarily good in trying to have ownership. So you're given all of these plethora of choices to make. Oh, you could live in this state or this state, but you still have to be governed by their rules and their regulations. Even if the federal government has declared it to be legal, a state may not necessarily abide by that same rule. So how much land do you own? Well, check with your government to make sure that you're not having to pay, 20% of your entire annual salary away for property taxes. Or in this case, if you took out a loan, whether you're taking out a student loan or a home loan, you basically have debt that you have to owe a lender. And if that lender doesn't get their money back, guess what's collateral? Your house, your car, potentially. So yeah, there isn't a whole lot that you actually own, but you have this illusion of choice. Now, granted, are we going to be like China? Maybe you can make an argument, but I tend to lean more towards there is so many people that are awake nowadays because of the dissemination of information that it's, technology has been used for both good and bad, that I think you can make a solid argument that because we have shows like yours and others that are just talking about this consistently, the majority of people understand that they are, a part of this majority that doesn't have the money to have ownership. But if you're in the top 20%, or really what it comes down to is the top 1%, you may have some ownership, but it just goes back to, how much do you actually have? I mean, you could be unplugged, but still not have the financial means to actually take ownership, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And it's not to say that you can't also just make choices to say, I'm only going to have but I'm only talking about essentials. Obviously, the more that you take on, the less you have as far as, just services, because so many things are on a, I mean, even to the point where we have had those conversations about the so-called Internet of Things and the ultimate destination that people want to bring the so-called smart home to, where every appliance in your house has an IP address. The ice maker is talking to the microwave, and the microwave is talking to the Roomba and all that shit. And they know when you're where the whole thing is just self-perpetuating. And at that point, like, for example, and again, thank you for the call. I have more people calling in. When when I get into my car, for example, it can now link, because I got a newer one that we traded in the other one, and we're starting this whole process again. It can now link to your phone's Apple CarPlay and all that, and it has certain apps on the thing that are actually installed onto the car. So if you're parked somewhere, you can actually play a movie on Amazon Prime on your car. And then, of course, a month after we got the car, Aurora and I were parked somewhere for a little while. We showed up somewhere early, a little bit too early. And we said, you want to watch a little bit of Star Wars or something like that? Sure. I wanted to turn on Amazon Prime, and I guess my trial is over. I said, trial? I have Amazon Prime. Oh, no, this is Amazon Prime, the service with the car. This is the service with the car. Doesn't matter what you pay elsewhere. Now you have to pay a middleman through, I guess, OnStar processes all these payments. OnStar is so much more of a payment and service processor and provider now than just, tracking your car if it's stolen, or sending emergency crews out there if you get into some kind of a situation like an accident. It's so much more than that. You got to call them up if you want to get your Amazon Prime in there, or your Sirius. And ultimately, I said, no, okay, no, thank you, no, thank you. Bad enough I got to pay Amazon Prime once. I'm going to pay for you just so for the off chance that I fire up an episode of something where we're just sitting in a parking lot in twice a year. It's ridiculous. So those are the things that everybody can say, no, thank you. No, everybody there's just some people who love having all the bells and whistles. And I guess if you make FU money, I guess you can do that. But going forward, you can just say, yes, no, this doesn't serve me at all. This doesn't serve me at all. But the essentials, that's the issue here. So much of the essentials have a price tag on it that do not go away. You can even say at this point, I don't want cable. I just want internet. And now internet it's just as much as the cable was, if not more. If you have one or two streaming services there, then whatever. I feel it is almost YouTube is almost unwatchable unless you have premium. I think it's almost unwatchable just anywhere. So this is what it is. And there's no way to say, well, I want to own my YouTube. Obviously, there's certain things that this is where we live. It's what we're doing. But houses where you're living is something else. Hold on real quick. There is a place. I said, are there any places in the U.S. where you can own a home and not also have to pay property taxes? Yes, but with an important catch. This came back from the Alaska Department of Commerce from June 13th a while ago. In Alaska, there is no U.S. state where ordinary homeowners statewide are categorically free from property tax. However, there are places where you can own a home and legitimately have no recurring real estate property tax bill. The standout is Alaska. Alaska itself does not impose a statewide property tax, and huge portions of the state are outside local jurisdictions that levy one. The state's own assessor says the only relatively small portion of Alaska's land mass is subject to property tax. Most municipalities don't levy one. So yes, I guess you can own property or a residence or something in parts of Alaska and have no annual. But let me see here. There's also individual exemptions elsewhere. Texas, for example, gives qualifying veterans with 100% service-connected disability to total exemption on the appraised value of their resident's homestead. That's cool. Certain surviving military spouses can also receive a complete exemption. Florida has similarly substantial exemptions for certain permanently and totally disabled veterans. I mean, so you have to be a quadriplegic to get an exemption from this stuff sometimes. But Alaska, I guess, is the exception because I don't know. So there's not very many places to go. Here, a couple of super chats, and then I have that clip over here real quick. Hold on. Jay Britt says, happy Monday, Frank and Franklies. Hello, Jay. Good to have you out there. Shake and Bake, we already got to him. Shoe Gazer Boy over there on Twitch. Good to see a lot of people over there on Twitch tonight. Huber Dude Texas, thank you. Started off the show with a nice little tip from YouTube. Tefro says, Frank, how we doing? We're doing all right. Thank you for being out there, man. And then Calder Freeman subscribed on Twitch. Cindy on YouTube, before the show even started, subscribed. And Paul Wortman, Wart Guy, gifted 2 memberships in YouTube before. And let me see, or 1. And 1 got picked up by Static Shade. Static Shade, you better be at the film club on Friday the 4th. We're watching T2. It's so good. And now you realize just how good the writing was. That's why it's such an awesome sequel. All right, over on Rumble real quick. Let's get that done. I want to see Crestmont Bear. Carl says, Frank, I just bought this book, How to Scam Retards. Although pricey, once it shows up, it will totally be worth it. I'm going to be rich. Wishing you and yours the Frankly's best. God bless. Well, thank God. How to Scam Retards. I can't wait until it shows up. Are you sure that has not been, that wasn't a scam? What if it doesn't show up and you were the retard? Watch out. Then again, if it does show up, then tell me about it. Haywood says 4 states that I know of, it takes 3 years before they file a tax lien. It gives you like 90 days to get up to date after that. That I can pay your taxes and you have 1 year to pay me back plus interest. Wait. Was that last part an offer? You'll pay my taxes and then I'll have 1 year to pay you back with interest? Was that an offer? That sounds nice. Jay Semos says, fascinating discussion. Happy Monday. Thank you, Jay. And then Crestmont Bear again says, George Carlin did stand up in New York, September 9th and 10th, 2001. He wore a shirt that said, I sometimes like when a lot of people die. Fact. He did a lot of edgelordy things like that on stage. I'm sure he wouldn't have worn it 2 nights later, though. But here, this is what Cloud9 was talking about.
Credit for one thing. You have to
Because
give them
they
credit. They're out in the
understand
open
the
now.
importance.
They're out in the open now. They're not even trying to conceal it anymore. The owners of the country they got their election. They said, we're going to get this election. We put you people in that court for a reason.
All right,
Now's
back
the time
to
to pay
earth
us.
for you
And
now.
Yeah, forget all that stupid, will you? They're out in the open. They're openly driving the bus, and we're all in the back.
There is no national conspiracy to buy elections and control America. Now
Talk about back to earth.
Conspiracy, but
you
because
don't need a formal conspiracy. Right. When interests converge, these people went to the same universities and fraternities. They're on the same boards of directors. They're in the same country clubs. They have like interests. They don't need to call a meeting. They know what's good for them, and they're getting it. And there used to be 7 oil companies. There are now 3. It will soon be 2. The things that matter in this country have been reduced in choice. There are 2 political parties. There are a handful of insurance companies. There are about 6 or 7 information things. But if you want a bagel, there are 23 flavors because you have the illusion. You have the illusion of choice. Right. You don't get the real important choice. There's no freedom of choice.
Hey, you know what? The bagel stuff, that's where, that's why we are always the answer. It's not like the local bagel shop, the Bagel Emporium down the street or something like that, or Lenny's or whatever the hell else we have around here is, somebody leans on them. You better have more bagels. People need their choices, while we make sure that they have less of the real choice and make sure they have a lot of bagels. Get that rainbow bagel in there, the egg bagels, the onion bagels, everything bagels, flagels, all types of mini flagels. Get them in there, toast them, give them extra cream cheese. I want there to be 8 different variations of cream cheese, because I don't want people to know how badly they're getting rammed. They're getting their cheeks clapped. So But that's it. You know, that's where the free market and people, that's the world we could live in if it weren't for the world that's being imposed on us. You know, the world where you can get 23 different types of bagels. I think that would be that model would be extrapolated out there for everything, for health insurance, for everything. But the higher up you get, the more consequential and big and industrial things get. The choices come together. Everything gets standardized. Everything gets regulated, and you can't even enter into the field. You know, we'll be able to talk a little bit about this and so much more tomorrow when Jay Gulanello is on with us. That's gonna be great to have Jay coming in. Sal was supposed to be coming in too. It's supposed to be Jay and Sal, but Sal had a grisly procedure done. He had something on his head. He sent it to me yesterday. Blood, chunks of stuff being taken out of his head. I said, what the hell is that? It's a cyst, bro. And that's only 1/10 of it. It's like, holy shit. He said, I won't be coming to the show. I said, yeah, you just take a couple days off and lay down and keep your head elevated. So soon we'll have that. Anyway, so let's end that poll. Good thing for you guys. Hey, it's been wonderful to have you out. Wonderful to have you out there. So in the meantime, make sure that you like this episode. Please give me a like wherever the hell you are. Like it. Comment after the fact. Come back tomorrow and give the YouTube video hype, whatever the hell that does. I still really don't know. We've had a hype button for nearly a year. And all I know is that if it can be clicked, then please just click it. And put the notifications on and everything else. That'll be good. And share, and become a sponsor. Guys, for no other reason than watching movies and reading books with us in the Culture Club. There's so much. I need pen pals. There are pen pal slots open on Patreon and Subscribestar. There are Polaroid slots where we take Polaroids for you every month and send it to your house. The postcards. Let me show you. I got a hold on. Where the hell is it? I'll show you what the August postcard is. This is going out very soon. Let me show it to you. Hold on. Where's the postcard? I did this. I created this the other night and I sent it over to Lauren. So there we go. Here they are. Look. Me and Aurora. Look at my hairy leg. Come on, don't you want this? This is going to come to your house. You know, and like I said, we completely converted the monthly postcards to things that are 100% quite frankly. So we make them every month now. We take different pictures and shit, and you know, I don't know. Maybe we'll start, you know, actually honoring people in the chat room one day. Who the hell knows? But the seasonals are coming up. Support the show. The show loves you back. The show loves you back. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Now let's jump into the flip side. The flip side we can. That's where the pants really come off. And comment. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow, all right? Thank you, one and all. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on real quick. Let me just run through the names on Pilled, and then I'll read the messages on the other side. Here you go. From the top, Powder Donuts, one of my favorite new screen names I see in there. Guys, start with the very thoughtful screen names again. I haven't like the years of painful rectal itch and all that. Where the hell did all the screen names go to? Wix Vixen, Silly Boar, Corey J, Sean Joe, The Sentinel, Icebox, you saw it here. Paulie 9363, Rev, Dewdrop, Safety Net, Nathan W, Icebox again. Let me see what else. And then that's it. Tommy Jekyll. I'll read all that in full on the other side here. We're not done. The link will be in the chat room, or if you can't see the link, quitefrankly.tv. Press play. It's the flip side. It's when weird things happen. Okay? Talk to you soon. Okay, yeah, why not? Yeah, let's start the week off like that. That's great. Start the week off.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, one and all. And thank you to Jim Lee for a nice little appearance. It should be a great rest of the week. We have awesome guests coming in tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. It's going to be great. So be a part of it. Tell your friends. Bring everybody along and join that Discord. I'll put the link in the chat room one more time before we end. Go!
A kitty cat.
You're a kitty cat?
Your turn.
Hello. I'm a kitty cat as well.